A couple of days ago, I spent far too much time on my phone, and it made me thought of this concept of being digitally overweight, where you're constantly craving and consuming more, and as you consume more, you never feel satisfied and you keep consuming to the point where once you have done all that consumption, your head feels heavy, your eyes might just feel a bit just almost like bulging out of your eyes, or bulging out your head, and you just don't really feel like you can get much done, right? You just feel a bit, I don't know, mentally bloated, if I might think a bit. And and I think this is a big thing for a lot of guys, maybe around my age, where we're so used to just taking in and consuming loads of stuff, and there's no real limit on it, right? There's no real limit to the amount we can consume. There's hundreds of thousands of hours of content probably being released every day, definitely every week, and so it's a matter of, well, what happens to the average guy that just keeps consuming without really outputting? And I've seen a lot of people, post things, whether it's videos or, just general posts that talk about how difficult it is to get things done. And usually when I sort of see that or I read stories, the first thing I'm looking at is, well, how much are you taking in comparison to how much you're actually outputting? Because what seems like research or what seems like something that's just so harmless on the surface level, something by which perhaps you just start consuming something because you're bored, is so much more than we actually hope it to be. And I know this myself, where if I'm trying to do it, like if I'm trying to output something and get something to work and to do something, I know I can't be consuming lots of content. I know I can't be just, throwing myself into this just digital pool of just content. And content isn't inherently bad. It is just quite simply about how much you're consuming of it and how frequent it is. Now, for me, ideally speaking, if I'm going to consume anything, it's ideally going to be more towards the evening. Doesn't always happen, but that's more ideal because I want to leave that morning and afternoon, ideally, to get the main bits of work that I need to get done. But more so, what I'm sort of thinking about is what was most difficult for me. And for reference, at this point in time, I am developing my own video game. I've already released my demo for my game, right? And I'm doing it pretty much majority with AI, or at least with the help of AI. Um, and I spent about just under 300 hours to get that first demo out. And that was a really nice milestone for me. And I wouldn't have been able to do that by constantly consuming over and over. Now I'm at the point where I'm now trying to push towards making the full game, and that's, far bigger than making the demo. And so now more than ever, I'm realizing how important it is for me to be really conscious about the content I'm consuming, right? Because, like I said before, I think a lot of it is just, being digitally overweight, where if you just keep consuming content, you don't actually output anything, you're just going to be in a state and you're going to train your brain to just be more of a consumer than actually outputting things. So if you're a guy that can resonate with this, I think really the first thing, or at least the first thing that I was really looking at, is a lot of the times we work towards things we don't really care about, right? And this is originally why I ended up basically closing down the business, which I spent 2.5 years working on. It was a lead generation business, and frankly, I hated it. So in the end, I ended up making a ikigai where I tried to figure out, what I enjoyed, what I was good at, what the world needed, and what I could get paid for. And being a game developer was one of the things that were there, and YouTube like this was another thing. And so that's why I'm now doing this, because it means more to me. Now, are there times where I didn't really feel like doing things as much? Of course. But the point being is that this is meaningful to me, meaning that when it comes to actually what I should do, I'm less tempted and swayed by content consumption and taking things in, and more likely to work on things meaningful to you. So I just want to send you off with this sort of one thing where first find the thing that's actually meaningful to you. I would look at making a ikigai and just trying to figure out what is meaningful to you. Then from there, you can start actually figuring out how you can be adjusting your life bit by bit. If it means that you consume the same amount of content, but you just leave it all towards more so later in the day and the evening, fine. Start somewhere and then readjust, because once you can start training your mind to actually be outputting early in the day and throughout the afternoon, and then perhaps consuming a bit of stuff in the evening if you like to, that's a better routine than waking up and just consuming and then wondering why you can't get anything done. But let me know your thoughts below, and I'll chat soon.